Koei really put their whole ass into this game. Hello everyone, my name is Chris Gildart, and welcome to what was supposed to be a first impressions of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, but I don't think I can call it that anymore, having recently finished the game. You know, I can feel the judgment coming from some of you, and I just want to say that I don't think I'm the one with a problem here. Now, Age of Imprisonment may have been one of the reasons why I got a Switch 2 in the first place. I mean, it was also so that I could play Age of Calamity at anything above 5 frames per second, but Age of Imprisonment has been so far a pleasant surprise. Now, before we get too far into what I think on the game, don't forget to give this video a like, comment with your thoughts below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, let's get into things. Starting things out, I have to say just how beautiful this game not only looks, but runs. The game starts off with Zelda walking through a field with the King and Queen of Hyrule, and my god, did this just take me by surprise. Once you actually get into a full stage though, the graphics start to really show off what they can do. In usual Warriors fashion, there are a lot of flashy particle effects when you attack, but thanks to some of the ray tracing, you can see those particle effects lighting up the environment around you as you attack. This also means stages and moves with fire and lightning effects literally and figuratively shine here. And even through all of these visual updates, impressive textures for the Switch 2, and so many moving parts throughout the run of the stage, I only had the game drop frames once during gameplay. This has to be the best performing and looking Hyrule Warriors game on launch. Maybe even the best performing Musou spin-off game on launch. Not to mention the sheer variety of locations you'll be sent to while playing through the game's story and side missions. Maybe playing nearly 100 hours of Pokemon Legends ZA is what got me too used to samey environments with minimalistic textures, but I even booted up Dynasty Warriors 8 on PS5 and Samurai Warriors 4 on PC, and what we got with Age of Imprisonment is surprisingly gorgeous. But I don't think most people go to a Musou review to hear how pretty it looks. Most of us just care that it runs better than Age of Calamity did on Switch 1. Most people are going to care about the gameplay, which I can comfortably say that this is what I meant when I said that Koei put their whole ass into this game. Nothing has been half-assed here. The usual regular and strong attack combo is here, with some slightly different button prompts for some characters to freshen things up a bit. Depending on who you're playing as, you may need to hold X, repeatedly press it, or press it at just the right time to get the most out of a character's moveset. Characters like the Hylian Typhon are built where you hold X for each strong attack, while the Zora Cadlan has strong attacks where you hold X and mash X. There are 2 Gerudo characters whose combos are almost exclusively timed X presses. For these timed presses, you can still mash the X button, but by timing it perfectly, you can deal more damage or extend the range of your attacks. Special attacks are back and just as flashy as you remember them if you're already familiar with Warriors games. With Age of Calamity, if you held R and pressed one of the face buttons, you used the Sheikah Slate abilities. These were a replacement for the items used in the first Hyrule Warriors game. Well, the mechanic is back, but now you use these Zonai devices and unique skills. The latter being like the character's special moves that we would see in other Musou games like Pirate Warriors 4, Dynasty Warriors 9, and Origins. Zonai devices are like a mix between the Sheikah Slate from Age of Calamity or items from Hyrule Warriors and the elemental attacks from Age of Calamity. Some provide countering effects to certain enemy attacks while causing elemental damage to enemies. You can use them to hold an attack directly in front of you, or you can drop them on the ground to continue attacking in that direction while you go back to controlling your character. As you're fighting larger enemies, they'll use their own special moves that can only be countered by a specific style of unique skill or Zonai device. There are 4 in total: charging attacks, aerial attacks, guard-breaking attacks, and repelling attacks. The first time an enemy type uses a special move that can be countered, you have to experiment to find the one that will actually counter it. Most of the time, it's pretty clear, but other times it can be difficult to tell if you're supposed to use an aerial attack because it's an attack from above, or a repelling attack because they're throwing something at you. All of your unique skills are tied to the same cooldown, so you can't use 2 in quick succession. That being said, Zonai devices run off a battery gauge that depletes as you use them. You can also swap which skills and devices are mapped to which buttons on the fly. This way you can have a loadout that works for the situation you find yourself in. Larger boss battles are also back from the first Hyrule Warriors, and some involve really clever ways of dealing extra damage to them. What I like is that unlike the original Hyrule Warriors, you don't have to wait for the boss to show you their weak point. You can still deal enough damage to them with your usual combos, so if you want to throw the game on easy just to have a somewhat mindless time with a Musou game, you can do that. Or you can play it on normal or hard, where you'll really need to make use of the enemy weak points and perfect dodging in order to get a flurry attack in. Sometimes the nearby player characters will prompt you to switch to them for some extra damage. This tends to happen when an enemy is about to use an attack that can be countered, and not only will you switch to that character, but you'll also counter their attack, meaning combat flows extremely smooth in this game. It may seem like someone is just mashing buttons while they're playing Age of Imprisonment, but you can pretty easily pull off some sick combos and flashy moves that actually make mechanical sense in the game. Speaking of player characters though, the roster here is fantastic compared to Age of Calamity. One of my biggest gripes with that game was that the two Zora and Rito characters both felt like twins of each other. Both Mipha and Sidon used spears, while both Revali and Teba used bows. Daruk and Yunobo also felt a little too close to each other. Then there were characters like Zelda and Hetsu who both felt a little too gimmicky. I've never really been a fan of Musou movesets that summon things that actually deal the damage to enemies. I know this is very much a personal thing, but I found it difficult to play as Zelda with the Sheikah Slate, as well as characters like Millennia and Lagrina from Warriors All-Stars. In Age of Imprisonment, we have the quote-unquote main characters. This would be the likes of Zelda, Rauru, the King of Hyrule, Minoru, his older sister, as well as the leaders of each of the races with Agreston the Goron, Kia the Zora, Rafika the Rito, and Ardi the Gerudo. But we also get two generals for each of the races. These generals either use a one-handed sword, a great sword, or a spear, and can share the same weapon skins as others of the same type, where the main characters get their own unique weapon and can't swap. I already mentioned the Hyrule Sword General Typhon, but we also get Quino, who uses a great sword. These two are unlocked pretty early on, but the other races all play unique from each other and have their own personalities tied to their movesets. Even though they don't play enough of a role in the greater story, there are some odd side missions that involve them, but you will rarely see them with spoken dialogue. As much as I wish they had a chance in the spotlight, I do think it's cool that we get a couple of generics as playable characters. Even though someone like the Zora Cadlin uses a spear like the leader Kia, his moveset is completely different. As well, each of the main characters that represent one of the races in the game share their default stance and some of their attacks to that of the representative of said race from Age of Calamity. So Agraston's first couple of attacks are very similar to that of Daruk, but his combo quickly becomes unique after the first few regular attacks. His special attack is also completely different, but some of his finishers may share similar animations to Daruk's. I honestly kind of like this as an evolution off of the movesets that we had in the last game. This means that there are no repeat movesets from Age of Calamity, meaning Nintendo and Koei Tecmo could decide to put all of those characters into Age of Imprisonment without it feeling like there are clones. And then there's the story, which has to be the best story I've seen in any collaborative Musou spin-off to date. This game feels like a mainline Zelda title. Now, I'm gonna avoid any major spoilers, but if you want to go in completely blind, maybe skip ahead to the next part of the video. I always try to include timestamps for each topic, so it's easier to jump to the part of the video that you want to go to. But with that said, the spoiler warning is over. Age of Imprisonment's story starts off with a little Korok finding a glowing stone in some ruins that attaches itself to a humanoid machine called a construct, and it comes to life. We then cut to Zelda being found by Rauru and Sonia, who are not only the king and queen of Hyrule, but its founders. Turns out, Zelda was sent back in time while she was investigating some ruins with Link. Rauru and Sonia invite Zelda to stay with them until she finds a way to get back to her own time. Since this is early in Hyrule's history, Rauru is still trying to bring together all of the races and stave off the evil of the land. At this time as well, Ganondorf is the leader of the Gerudo, and he seeks to take over Hyrule Castle and bring said evil to the land. Now, while he is successful at first, Rauru and Zelda travel around to the different parts of Hyrule to enlist the aid of each race that resides in it. Now, while Ganondorf is pushing to take more territory under his rule, the mysterious construct and his Korok companion Kalamo are on an adventure of their own. The mysterious construct can't talk, but but it seems to have some sort of objective. Calamo, being a small Korok, is reluctant to fight, but is capable at least. When Rauru and Zelda's paths briefly cross with the Construct and Calamo, they are a bit wary of each other. So when you finally unlock Calamo and the Construct as playable characters, they are a separate faction to Rauru and Zelda, and cannot be taken into the same battle with each other. While Rauru and Zelda are recruiting the leaders of the different races, Calamo and the Construct are saving and recruiting the generals on their journey. It really makes for an interesting story steeped to the brim with military and political tactics. The story also has so much weight to it, almost like this is one of the most important stories in Hyrule's history. It's also interesting to play through a game where Link is not the main character. In fact, Zelda and Rauru are more the main characters here. The story in Age of Imprisonment is so good. I might actually say fuck it and finally play through Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Now, the weapon degradation system in those games was a turnoff for me, but I want to know more of this story. I want to know more of this world. Who knew it was a Musou game that would finally get me to play Beyond the Great Plateau? Now, the last thing I want to mention is the music in this game, because it is incredible. While most may expect the usual butt rock of a Musou game, or at least distorted guitars, Age of Imprisonment goes for an orchestral soundtrack that mixes in synthesized sounds to provide that modern Zelda feel. They also make use of a dynamic soundtrack that may change songs when there's no combat happening mid-stage. The track they put to a stage always fits the vibe. Whether it's a menacing sound with dissonant chords to say that you're going up against a strong opponent, or a heroic song with anthemic melodies and counter rhythms that create the perfect experience. This focus on the soundtrack greatly helps the overall story as well, because while the game does have an English dub, lines are not spoken during combat. I really don't understand that choice either. I know their explanation is that Zelda games don't usually have in-game lines dubbed, but this is a Warriors game. It's really difficult to pay attention to both the action and the lines of dialogue. Not to mention that since they're not spoken, there's no specific time period for them to stay on screen, so every message stays on screen for the exact same amount of time. And I'm sorry, I'm a slow reader. But the soundtrack picks up the slack to at least provide the emotional perspective of the story. So I just felt like it was necessary to bring that up. I am crossing my fingers that this gets added to the Nintendo Music app, because for some reason Nintendo has to be the different one. In the end, I had way too much fun with Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. I truly think this is going to be one of my top Warriors games of all time. Every aspect of it is solid, from the graphics to the gameplay to the story. I can't help but want more, which is good because it seems like we're getting free updates, and hopefully we'll see additional content beyond this in the future. Thanks to this, Dynasty Warriors Origins, and next year's Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered, I think we are currently in a new golden age of Musou games. Now I'm really looking forward to the next gen update for One Piece Pirate Warriors 4, which is coming out later this month. If you have a Switch 2, I highly recommend this game, especially if you are either a Zelda fan or a Musou fan. If you're afraid you won't find a character or moveset you like, don't worry. I will go on the record to say that there isn't a single moveset in this game that I dislike. I mean, I literally can't stop playing it. Okay, maybe I do have a problem. But with all that being said, I'd give Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment a solid 8.5 out of 10. Remember, at this point, I've only just finished the story and some of the extra side missions. I still have the rest of the post-game to finish too, so that score could change once I actually fully complete the game. But I just absolutely love everything that I've experienced so far, and I can't wait to play more of this. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching my review of Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and subscribe for more. What are your thoughts on the game, and what would you like to see in additional content for the game? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to help support this channel and what I do here, you can join the guild just like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can join them at the end of every single video for just $1 a month over on Patreon or through YouTube memberships, or you can donate in a one-time fashion and join the volunteer unit over on Ko-fi or through super chats during live streams. A special shout out to my guild generals Beggy Beg Beg, Marvelous, and Todd for supporting this channel at the top tier. There are other rewards and other tiers as well, so check out the links that you see on screen, and I will see you all down in the comments.